Welcome to Healing Hearts. I am Rakaya Gibson, and I'm here with Brian and Brennan Connell. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good night. How are you?
Hi. We're here to share a sudden cardiac arrest survival story, and I'm going to let Brennan share a little bit about his incident, when it was, and what he felt.
Well, it happened May 6th, and I was playing a baseball game for my high school, the Lake the West Owls, and we were at Blue Valley Southwest, where my where my coach at Lake the West used to coach, and we were playing, and I got to pitch that game, and I was pitching a great game and striking all of them out and doing great things on the mound, and then around the fourth inning, it was basically out of nowhere. I had just fallen down and collapsed on the mound while playing baseball, and I couldn't tell you much of what happened of the first week and a half of anything after that necessarily, but I'm just thankful that all the right people and all the doctors and stuff that were there, since it was senior night, which some people who normally wouldn't have been there were there tonight to support like their son playing. And I'm just thankful that all the doctors and all the nurses that were there could help me and help me to be where I am here today.
When you say May 6th, do you mean May 6th of this year?
Yeah, May 6th, 2019.
And so you were pitching a game, and did you feel anything before you collapsed?
No, ma'am. I felt completely fine, and everything felt normal.
Yeah. So what's the first thing you remember after collapsing?
Well, it's kind of blurry and like hazy and like cut, like lots of pieces and parts are out of place. But I remember kind of the ride in the ambulance with my best friend Colton and my mom to the first hospital. I remember them dropping me off in a room maybe with a doctor and telling them that we have to go to Children's Mercy. And then, all I remember is the ride in the ambulance and seeing my best friend and my mom.
So you're saying you didn't feel any chest pain?
No, ma'am. It was basically just like flipping a light switch. I was fine and doing my thing on the mound at one moment, and the next thing you know, I was just walking back up and I just collapsed. It's hard because it happened so long ago, but like when you look back at it, you don't think that it's you. Like I'm playing sports right now. I'm healthy as I could ever be at this point. And you just look back and realize that was you that had done that. Well, I play 3 sports for the high school, but baseball is definitely been my favorite sport since the longest time I could remember. When we were younger, I'd always be the one catching everything first and throwing the hardest from every team I've ever been on and doing the best. And I just have the best memories with all my teammates from all the past teams I've been on. And baseball just is like just something I love, and I probably wouldn't ever give it up. When we were doing all like the MRIs and all the x-rays and stuff, they had noticed that there was something in my heart that was making the electrical system circle instead of go all the way up and down. So if they hadn't have found that and I hadn't gotten tested and they didn't go and look at hard for it, they said that I would have died later if they hadn't got it and found it and done surgery to take it out.
The first miracle was that it was parents' night. There was an AED. There were nurses and doctors there that took care of him, brought him back after he coded on the mound. The second miracle was in the hospital, because had he not had the cardiac arrest, he would not have been in the hospital for them to find what they need, the electrical screwy that they needed a ablate. So we really had 2 miracles in a 7-day period. One without the other wouldn't have happened.
And so what is the diagnosis they gave for why his sudden cardiac arrest happened?
Officially, there's nothing that they have told us that officially caused it.
When the gene studies came back 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, there were no genetic predispositions, no family histories, nothing in his body or his blood, nothing in his structures, nothing in his heart. And so officially, there's no reason for the cardiac arrest. No. Me, I will tell you that God had a hand in that, right? It was the right time at the right place where people could save his life.
And that's where what gets me. I just sometimes I get caught up with that. I'm like, I just wish that my sons could have happened at a different time or different place to where he could have had people in place. It just, the cards didn't line up for him. Brennan, do your friends know CPR?
Yeah, so we did a giant screening and a giant CPR testing at our high school over the summer, and all the kids on the baseball team went, and so many more kids from the high school went, and they all got we got 57 kids fully screened and echoed, and over like 160 kids trained in CPR, and so I think that's a really big step in saving someone's life.
Yeah, it's a huge step, a huge step. How does it feel being on the team again?
I mean, just playing sports and being active in general makes me feel great. Like, I have like a new drive in weights and sports now that I realize you only get one shot at life, and you don't want to regret anything, and you don't want to take anything slow. And so I just think anytime I'm doing something active or with my friends or sports, I just try and go as hard as I can. And I got to still experience summer with my friends, and I didn't really get to miss too much of that, but everything on my body, all the scars and everything like that is just like a miracle of how fast everything's healed.
And just to the parents, I know you have to go, but to the parents like myself who, like, one of the biggest burning questions that we have is, what did our kids feel? What did they see? What did they experience?
I mean, there was no pain at all from the beginning. It was very painless, and everything just felt numb almost. I hadn't felt anything at all. Like I said before, it was like flipping a light switch. One moment you're completely fine doing whatever, and then the next moment you're just on the ground and you don't know what happened to you.
Well, said earlier that high school is short. What I thought of as soon as you said that was that life is short. Life is short, and you got to live it to the fullest, making sure that you're fulfilling your purpose each and every day and fighting for your dreams. So I'm really proud of you fighting for your dreams and fulfilling the purpose that you found for yourself and spreading your story and helping others.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, one last question I have. Did you see, how people say they saw like a light or they saw other, their near-death experience? Did you have anything like that or no?
Yeah, there's been hundreds of people asking me that question, and I tell them the same thing every time. I didn't see anything. It was all black. I could not see anything. It was like a really, really dark room.
Wow. And you just woke up and then your family was there?
Yeah, I woke up and it was really blurry and bright, and I just saw my best friend and my mom.
Okay.
He was asking he was talking as soon as he was sort of awake, and he was like, "Did the game start yet? Did we win? Wait, have I pitched yet?" His short-term memory was pretty much washed. Initially, the previous 2 hours, right to the SCA, he could only remember back to lunch for the first day or so. And we had to rebuild his memory. And little by little, he was like, "Oh, I remember that, and I remember that." But
so does he have his full memory now, or have some memory loss?
The pictures and the stories and everything, and that has helped a lot with the memory. And it's just a miracle how I'm here today and I get to share my story, and I love it. So thank you.
Right. All right, thank you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you very much.
Live life to the fullest. And hey, Brennan, I need you to do one thing for me.
Yeah,
Remember to do it for Damani. That's my son who didn't make it. So all of the dreams that you get to make happen, try and keep a little space in your heart for him.
I will.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because you said that in the hospital they couldn't find why Brennan's sudden cardiac arrest occurred. So is that kind of safe to say that I'm just curious because, you know, we talk so much about testing and I know testing is better than nothing, right?
Right.
But how are tests missing some like that?
Well, we didn't have him tested. So I will own ignorance of a parent. Ignorance of a parent.
No, that's not ignorance of a parent because society never made it clear to us how important it is to get our kids tested.
And that's probably the key because, see, Olathe Schools is partnered with ATS and they basically supported our school district one or two tests a year, right? But we didn't know to listen to it for it or to read it or to pay attention to it. We didn't understand its value proposition. You know, just like with Sean Simmer earlier, I wasn't in that ecosystem where I was listening, right? Let's just use the word I wasn't listening. And my wife and I, you know, we look back now and we absolutely see the signs now, but we didn't know to see the signs before. Example, right? They officially cannot tell us what caused a sudden cardiac arrest. There's no evidentiary information. They excluded everything in the world they can think of. You know, I say God did it. But if we go back in time, like he was playing soccer age 10, and he's running nonstop in the heat, and he gets to the car, and his heart is racing. And my wife says, "Hey, I'm going to take him to," and it didn't stop. I'm taking him to Children's Mercy Hospital, South. She takes him, and his heart settles down, and they can't find anything wrong. They didn't find anything. You know, they said, you know, we don't know.
Ask you this: what did you know about sudden cardiac arrest before this?
Nearly nothing. If the bucket was full, we probably know about 3 drops worth of true cardiac arrest. When he was down on the mound, between the charging of when they were doing the CPR and when they were cutting up his shirt and getting him ready, and before and after the charge, I had his head in my hand, and I was talking to him. I'm talking to the Brennan that's still here. Yeah. The soul that's inside, not just to the ears, to the face, or the body parts, but I was talking to his soul and said, "We're here. You're going to be fine. Come back to us. Take care of yourself. Let us help you." You know, I was talking to him, and while everyone else was doing their thing, I was supposed to be doing my thing. Not every parent gets that opportunity to be there. And I knew I'd been there with my dad when he died. So I knew that I was not going to go, you know, I was not going to let him go to heaven without knowing that we love him. And if he was going to go, God would know that I was there for him. It was hard, but I was not gonna fail that moment, right? Because through my head I was like, should I have known? Should I have seen? Is there anything we could have done? Right? It's what we all go through. Could I have done anything? Did I fail? But I was like, the only thing I could do was at that moment and focus. In fact, I was really, really calm. Kind of freaked out everybody around me and all the parents. They're like, "You were so calm." And I knew what I had to do. That's all I was focused on.
And we're so glad that it turned out the way that it did. Your family is blessed and lucky that you still have Brennan, because there's so many stories and so many families that it turned out so different. So I'm very happy for you guys.
Thank you. This industry, this world of saving kids needs you. It needs me. It needs the parents to step into that gauntlet and be those voices for those kids, for the 90% of the kids that don't survive, and say, no, you're going to host an event and we'll organize it and we'll figure out how to get these kids checked, because we know at every event that the ATS people have been at, someone's had a significant heart issue. Any test is better than a sports physical. We've argued with our pediatrician, why don't they do even EKGs during the annual physicals for the kids? It's too expensive. They don't have the tools. The American Heart Association won't support it, so nobody else supports it.
So then we have to fight. We have to fight to make that change. We have to put the pressure together on the American Heart Association so that they can change that standard of care. It makes no sense at all that they won't. It's not an expensive test. It's not an invasive test. It should be done every year at a physical exam. It should be done.
It needs to be required, like Brevard County, like you talked with Sean Zema. I give them great credit for the requirement. It takes 5 minutes 10 minutes for an EKG. Yes, it's not going to catch everything, but if it catches 80% more of the kids, and I know it's not the comprehensive gold standard, but it is still more than, right? And
right.
I can't imagine, if I had the money, I mean, I promise you, I have said to everybody I can think of, and I do it laughingly, but I do hope that someone will know someone. I said, what this takes is, and it dawned on me during October. October was Sudden Cardiac Arrest Month, and you probably know that as well as anyone. And it was also Heart Care, Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Awareness Month, right? Everybody's doing something around breast cancer awareness. All the volleyball teams, my daughter played varsity as a freshman, and they're doing this Dig Pink event, right? Everybody's pink, pink, pink. But what started that was one woman, the sister, Mrs. Brinker of Susan G. Komen, who died of breast cancer, who had the money and the wherewithal to support and fund that first massive, strong group in Dallas, who then spread, 25, 30 years later. It's now, you can't get away from breast cancer awareness, and it's making a huge difference. Right now in our world, Rakaya, there's 300 to 500 of these little bitty small foundations trying to get the word out, and trying to do the right thing. I keep telling everybody, you get me a billionaire to say this matters. Right?
Yeah.
What I want is Shaquille O'Neal to do like he's doing for the insurance and all those other companies supporting that his son was found to have a heart issue and he got the surgery and he's playing ball.
Yeah.
But he had the means to get that testing, right?
Well, it wasn't even his finance. It was a routine physical at UCLA that did it.
But
caught it.
But it was at the school, and I'll give UCLA the credit. Maryland, the kid died, and they didn't have any. I read the whole report. I read way too many reports. They had no protocol. They have no scheduled EKGs or echoes of all their athletes. I'm like, you're spending $100,000 a year for each of these football players plus every other sport. Why wouldn't you be like UCLA? Why wouldn't you test your kids? Baylor University does now. Baylor puts every one of their athletes.
Well, that needs to come from the NCAA. I don't understand why the NCAA now has changed the ruling to pay the athletes, to give them money for participating, but they don't have money to pay for testing.
Yeah, yes, I have a son who's survived and he's thriving, but it hurts my heart every day that we hear about more and more kids, and it's like, we can do something about this.
We can.
Do it for Damani. Do it for all these kids who aren't here, because they need to know, the parents need to know that you're doing things, not of yourself, but for those who aren't here to do it themselves. So
thank you so much for joining us tonight, Brian and Brennan. This was Healing Hearts, and we are here to save lives. Make sure that you share this video with as many people as possible so that we can continue to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. God bless.
Good night.